What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Scotty Talks NBA. I'm your host at Scotty Drown here. You see my co-host here, Slim at RTR30111 on Twitter. Be sure to give us both a follow if you get a chance to keep up with all the content that we both put out. A lot of the content we do together, a lot of the content we do separate as well. I know Slim has a bunch going on his end with the To the Galaxy podcast. So be sure to check out all of Slim's content as well. Make sure I plug my man right here. But guys, in this episode, we're going to get into Pascal Siakam trade. Obviously, that's the big thumbnail. That's the big purpose of the show. How does this change the landscape in the Eastern Conference and across the NBA? We're going to talk about the Embiid versus Jokic matchup from the other night. Maybe a finals preview. I would like to hope so. And then we'll get into top 10 power rankings, offensive players of the week for each of us, and defensive players of the week for each of us. So a lot to get into in this show, but did want to kick off the show giving you the floor, Slim. I know we want to pay some condolences. You as a Golden State Warriors fan yourself, pay some condolences to the coach that actually passed away over this past week at the age of 46. So I know you wanted to, say a few things here at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, so basically just want to start off by saying, sending my condolences to the coach family and the Warriors organization as a whole, man. You just never know. It's crazy out here. This season by itself has been beyond terrible and frustrating, and that's something like this transpires, just put the icing on the cake. Some things are just truly bigger than basketball, and this is one of them. So I just want to send my condolences to, the coach family and the Warriors organization, and hoping that better days are ahead for us Warriors fan, man, because this was definitely unexpected for sure.
Yeah, and this is where, you obviously have like the Draymond stuff this season. You've had the, bringing in Chris Paul and trading Jordan Poole out and that whole situation to start the season. You've just had a bunch of stuff going on with this team, man, to start this season. And like you said, this was kind of the icing on the cake. I want to pronounce his. I just want to make sure. I don't like to butcher names, but Dejan Milojevic. If I butchered the name, I apologize. But just wanted to say his name on the show here. I know we both don't want to.
That sounds about right.
Mess that up, but definitely wanted to pay condolences to him.
Yeah.
Dies from a heart attack at the age of 46, man. And you informed me that it was at like a private like team dinner function type of thing as well, which just makes it even more surreal. I think it's one of those moments, especially within the NBA community, where you can take a step back and understand that life is a little to a lot bigger than sports in general. And just like that, your life can be gone. It can be over. So just appreciating life in general, like outside of NBA, but also, those blessed to be within the NBA community as well, man. Definitely wanted to give myself time to pay condolences there. And, wish the best to the Warriors organization, because they just got a lot going on right now. And, if you're players on that team, if you have relationships with that coach, if you're close with them, it's hard to go out there on the court, this soon. I'm not sure the next time they play. They might play tonight for all I know. But to go out there on the court after something like this happens within your team, this is a guy that reported has great relationships with Nikola Jokic, coached him for 7 years over in Serbia, has relationships with Bogdanovic over in Atlanta. Saw him passing out condolences. So I'm sure them amongst many others in the NBA that he's been able to touch and bless within his career. So definitely RIP to Dejan Milojevic, if that's being said correctly. Once again, don't hold me to that. But let's move it into a more positive note, or a more exciting note, I guess we could say here, to get to the start of the show. But Pascal Siakam reported he got traded to the Indiana Pacers. This was a 3-team deal. Ultimately, the Pacers get Pascal Siakam in a future second-round pick. The Toronto Raptors, in just a short amount of time, trade Pascal Siakam, traded OG Anunoby to New York. They get in return for Pascal Siakam, Bruce Brown, Kyra Lewis Jr. from the New Orleans Pelicans, Jordan Nwora, 2 first-round picks in 2024 and 1 first-round pick in 2026. The New Orleans Pelicans get cash considerations from Indiana. That's their part of the 3-team trade there. So instant reaction here, Slim, because we get the luckiness of coming on the show the day after this trade is completed, right on time. What are your instant thoughts to this trade? Who do you feel like won this trade from just this opening perspective before these teams actually hit the court? What are your thoughts here, man?
I love this trade. He would be a perfect fit alongside Hallie. He's a two-way player who can play off the ball, make plays, and he's proven to be a legit 23 points per game type of guy, all NBA, all-star caliber player. So I love this addition. You put him alongside a guy like Halliburton, as I mentioned. It's definitely with time. You know, they're the 7th seed, and you know, who knows what that team looked like past the trade deadline 3 more weeks ago before that. But yeah, I love this trade for them. You know, they did give up 3 first-round picks, but ultimately, I feel like it'll be worth it getting a guy like Pascal Siakam and pairing him alongside Halliburton. So yeah, I feel like the Pacers definitely won this trade, and them getting our Bruce Brown contract to me was kind of huge. Like the brother was making like what 20 M's a season, so them getting off his deal was pretty good. So I say the Pacers won this trade for sure. And from my understanding, there's hope that they can re-sign him in the offseason. So that's pretty good.
That's the big question mark for me if I'm the Pacers. Now, obviously, I think right now you go all in. You're trying to build something strong here. Build a culture with Tyrese Halliburton, put great players around him. And I do think Pascal Siakam fits that bill. He's averaging 22 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists on the season, shooting what? Let me see here. Shooting 52% from the field, 32% from the three-point line. So you'd like to hope that the shooting numbers from the three-point line go up a little bit, playing beside Halliburton, getting better looks. But nonetheless, I do think the fit is borderline perfect. You put him beside a stretch big like Miles Turner, who can space the floor from the three-point line. You got shooters all around them, right? They didn't end up having to get rid of Buddy Hield, which I think just for this season, I don't think he's going to be there past this season, but just for this season, having Buddy Hield there to space the floor around Halliburton and Pascal Siakam, I think that's a beautiful fit as well. So I tend to agree with you. I do think Pascal Siakam, that is the win of the trade with the Pacers, and it gives them a legitimate second star. I don't think Pascal Siakam is the number one guy. I think you saw that in Toronto, that he's not capable of being that guy that can get his team to the next level as a number one. But as a number 2 and number 3, he's more than capable of fulfilling that role. And I think that's why this situation is perfect with him. The only way it can go wrong for the Pacers is exactly what you said there at the end, if they are unable to re-sign him. And I saw that there were reports that no matter what team Pascal Siakam got traded to, he wasn't going to re-sign in season. He wasn't going to extend. He's going to test free agency. And so for a small market team like Indiana, I think you have to do it because you're just not going to be able to attract guys like Pascal Siakam in free agency. You have to hope that you bring him in and that he loves playing with Tyrese Halliburton. He loves that experience and that he'll want to prolong that. And then the other thing is that, you have to risk a little bit in order to put yourself in that situation as well. So I agree with you. I think the Pacers win this trade. I think the Raptors, you get 3 first-round picks. You get Bruce Brown, who is a quality role player. I think they'll end up moving off of him, though. I think they'll try to move him before the deadline.
For sure.
Because like you said, that is a hefty contract for a guy. If you're not literally playing for a championship, you can't have Bruce Brown on your team at that number, right? Like the Denver Nuggets is one thing because he's a perfect, seamless fit. And there's even a world where, like, as a Sixers fan, man, I would love Bruce Brown on the Sixers. I think he would fit perfectly for what they're trying to do, right? Like, they're trying to win a championship. I think with the Toronto Raptors, you're paying this guy $15-20 million a year. It's not worth it because you're not in that situation. You're rebuilding. So that is kind of how I look at it there. But they get Bruce Brown, they get Kyra Lewis Jr., a young player, Jordan Nwora, a young player. They've racked up 4 first-round picks between OG and Pascal Siakam. So they're doing what they can to get what they can for those players. Let me ask you this. do you look at where do you place the Pacers now in the Eastern Conference? Are they a top 4 solidified team? Are they up there with Philly, Milwaukee, Boston? Are they a solidified top 5 team? Do you think that they're in the talks with Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly? Like, do you think that they could surpass them? Like, where are you at with the Pacers in the Eastern Conference?
So I say for sure they definitely a top 6 seed in the East. Them getting Pascal doesn't necessarily put them over the hump, but it definitely makes them better. And as I mentioned earlier, we don't know what this team necessarily going to look like past the trade deadline. Maybe there's some more moves to be made. Flip this guy for better assets and things like that. But it definitely makes them better. So I say for sure that they're a top 6 seed. And while we're on this topic, like I heard Woj, he was on NBA Today yesterday, and he said that the Pacers were actually interested in getting both OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam.
Interesting.
So your thoughts, how you think that would have looked alongside Tyrese Halliburton?
Yeah. I mean, if they would have been able to get that done, I don't know what you would have to give up to get those two, right? Like, because they ended up getting like 4 first-round picks, Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, and Bruce Brown, and the draft pick compensation. But yeah, if the Pacers were ever able to get their hands on both of those guys and just keep the main core intact, which would be like Halliburton, Miles Turner. Buddy Hield really isn't in the main core. Like, if you had to give him up to get OG, I think you do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then what you got on the bench, like Obi Toppin, Benedict Mathurin's a guy that's not going
Mathurin,
anywhere.
yeah.
Neesmith has shown some things. Jalen Smith has shown some things this year. Isaiah Jackson. So yeah, they have a deep roster, man. When you actually look at them here, and you add OG Anunoby, you add Pascal Siakam to that starting lineup, and maybe, just maybe, you get a lineup of Halliburton, Hield, OG, Pascal, Miles Turner. I mean, that's probably a contending team, like a legitimate contender in the NBA, I would say.
Sure.
So
definitely upset somebody in the first round for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, to answer your question, that would be an interesting fit. And to your point, I think they are like a solidified top 6, top 5 team. I think the arguments would come from the New York Knicks and then the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think those are the other team. The Miami Heat as well, right? Like the Heat, they're not playing great regular season. They never really do, but you know that they always turn it up in the postseason. So those are the 3 other teams. You have the Celtics, you have the Sixers, you have the Bucks. Then you have the Cavs, New York Knicks, Indiana Pacers, and Miami Heat, who I would group into that next tier. But maybe adding a guy like Pascal Siakam, you mentioned it, an all-pro, all-NBA level player. Maybe he can get them into that top 4 and kind of solidify their place there. I don't think that's like out of the question. Although the Cavs have been playing some great basketball, so have the Knicks of late.
Sure.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, man. I will say that. Is there any other names before we move on? Because I do want to talk about the 2 MVPs squaring off on Tuesday. Is there any other names that you're kind of watching in as the trade deadline approaches? Like anything you're specifically keeping an eye on, or maybe it's a team that you think is only a piece away? I know I feel that way about the Sixers, honestly. I think they're a piece away. They need to go out and find like another ball handler, something else to kind of, strengthen their bench. But is there anything that you're looking at in regards to the trade deadline that you're looking forward to?
I say I'm interested to see if Dejounte Murray will stay with the Hawks. Him and Clint Capella, to be exact.
Yeah.
Them 2 guys, and then I say Zach LaVine, because I've been seeing his name come up in a lot of trade rumors as well. So those 3 names probably be the most intriguing to me, because with Larry Marketing, I don't think the Jazz should look to move him, because they've been playing great basketball as of late, bro. So yeah, I just say those 3 names for sure. Now that Pascal Siakam got traded, so yeah, those 3.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the thing about Dejounte and Clint Capella is like maybe you can package both of them together. That was the intriguing thing. Yeah, Marshawn Lynch asks here, are we good with the Sixers backup center? And that was the funny thing with Dejounte Murray. Now, I was intrigued by the idea of trading for Dejounte and seeing what that fit would look like on the Sixers. But then maybe you get a piece like Clint Capella added on to that for a backup center, or maybe you get like a DeAndre Hunter added on to that to strengthen your wing depth. But backup center, I mean, Mo Bamba, I actually have liked what I've seen from him lately. Paul Reed is so up and down that I don't know. I feel like you can't trust him in a sense. But at the same time, as like a backup center, like my main priority as we approach the deadline, I don't think so. I think like a secondary ball handler, somebody to take those responsibilities from Maxey sometimes would be really helpful. The Tyus Jones of the world sounds like a good idea. I've seen Terry Rozier. I saw he like prefers to go to Miami, but he's another guy that can just light you up from the guard position, another combo scoring guard type.
Yes.
I like his fit. I would like him added to like
Terry Rozier, man.
Yeah, exactly, man. I would like him added on to any of the top teams that are contending this season, because I think when you look at like a 6-man role, Terry Rozier fits that like to a T in my opinion. So that's a guy to keep an eye on as well. But yeah, Marshawn Lynch asked about Joel trolling Jokic when he said he is the best player after dropping 41 points on him. Let's get into this conversation, man. And obviously I'm a little biased in the combo, so I'm going to let you talk about this from your outside perspective a little bit more than myself. But Jokic squared up with Embiid in Philly on Tuesday. The Sixers came away with a 126-121 win against the defending champions. Right now you had Embiid. He had 41 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds in that game against Jokic. Jokic had 25, 19, and 3. Marshawn Lynch asked, was Joel trolling Jokic when he said he is the best player after dropping 41 on him? So I'll throw that question to you. Do you think Joel Embiid was trolling with that comment?
It's so hard with Joel, bro. Like, he's the ultimate troll. But I think he meant it, though. He paid Jokic his respect. You know, he respected him. They just won the championship last season. So I can see where he's coming from, saying he's the best player. You know, obviously, Joel Embiid won MVP last year. But, you know, Jokic is the current reigning finals MVP. So, you know, he's just paying his respects in that aspect. So I could see him actually meaning it and not trolling.
Yeah, that's honestly, man, that's a funny aspect to this whole conversation about Jokic and Embiid is, you know, their relationship or their friendship, because it seems like they get along pretty well every time that they square off and like talk to each other outside of the game, right? And they always pay respect to each other. So I tend to agree with you. I don't think Joel was trolling. I think he was actually paying his respects because I just don't think it's as toxic of a relationship as it is between like Sixers fans and Nuggets fans.
Nuggets fans, yeah.
See, Marshawn, this is the funny part. Like ESPN, I did see the segment. I didn't watch it, but I just saw like the banner at the bottom of the screen, and I saw people tweeting about it. And you know, it was funny because before, when Embiid would say he's the best player in the world, he gets criticized for not being humble, right? But then he comes out and he says that Jokic is the best player in the world.
Right.
Now we have to question Embiid's heart and his killer instinct in these matchups. So it is funny, man. But when you look at Embiid right now, man, he's playing some insane basketball. And obviously on the other side, you mentioned it, Jokic is coming off an NBA championship, a finals MVP appearance. How much would you love to see this matchup in the finals? And the reason I ask you this question, obviously I would love any matchup Embiid's a part of in the NBA finals, but how much from your perspective of an outside viewership, you know, as a Warriors fan, would you love to see a big matchup of bigs, like top class bigs like Jokic and Embiid in an NBA finals series of 7?
I would love to see it. Like, they would do numbers, bro. Like, the videos would be off the charts. But just seeing those two going at it like in a 7-game series would just be amazing to see for sure. On the biggest stage of them all. So yeah, I definitely love to see that matchup when it matters the most, to be exact. So,
yeah.
I would love
to see them both at like the highest level. And I think like in a 7-game series, it's so different because you're going to have a ton of adjustments mixed into those 7 games where you're just going to approach both of these guys way differently from game to game, right? Like you saw the Nuggets trying to guard Embiid with Aaron Gordon, and the Sixers trying to guard Jokic with Nicholas Batum, Tobias Harris. So you would just see all types of crazy things thrown at these guys, and I think it just speaks to how good they are. And it's inspiring because it feels like they're bringing back like the big, right? Like I don't know if that's really the case. We'd have to do like a full historic scope on like the last 10 years, but you look at Embiid and Jokic and how they've really come on the last 3 seasons as bigs in the NBA. Then you start to look down the line to guys like Wemby, Chet, even Sengun in Houston, right? He's another big that can just kind of do it all. He can shoot the
Yeah,
ball,
he's
he
been
can
amazing.
pass. So, like, you just go around the league and you're starting to see Lauri Markkanen, who you just mentioned, right? A floor spacing 7-footer that can move around like a guard at times and shoot like a guard. Like, it's just, you're starting to see more and more of these unicorns now, right? These unicorns in the NBA. And I think it speaks to the level of skill that these guys are increasing every single year. But the one last thing I did want to point out in this game, and this is once again me tooting the Sixers horn, so bear with me here on the show. I know Slim's, I'm
Yeah,
killing
I got
Slim
something
here
else to say too, man.
with me tooting the Sixers horn here. But I was watching this game, man, and I couldn't notice how similarly these teams are constructed. I was even looking at like as simple as the starting lineups when you have a centralization with your big man. You have Nikola Jokic, you have Joel Embiid, you have Michael Porter Jr., that like third scoring option like Tobias Harris, right? You have the 2 explosive scoring guards in Jamal Murray and Tyrese Maxey. And then you just have these guys that kind of are glue guys, right? Like Nick Batum and Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon on an elevated scale, I would say. He's a much better player, much more effective. And then you
Yeah,
can
for
throw
sure.
in guys like D Melt, right? A 3-and-D guard, similar to KCP.
Yeah,
Although once again,
KCP.
KCP has done it in the big moments, so you trust him a lot
Mm.
more. So I almost see like a
2-time champ.
yeah, 2-time champ. Got to give the credit there, right? And but I almost see what the Sixers are trying to do here with the construction of the team and trying to build a model after that Denver Nuggets championship roster. So I'm excited, man. This game got me really excited just to see where the Sixers can go going against the defending champs. And to that point, I would love to see the Sixers hopefully add another piece or two as we approach the trade deadline, just to solidify themselves in the ranks of
Yeah, for
the
sure. Yeah,
Celtics, the
yeah.
Nuggets, the T-Wolves, like all of these contenders this season. Um, so yeah, man, I'm excited off of that matchup. But let's move into the top 10 power rankings. And I really wanted to get to this because you can go in a lot of different directions with these power rankings right now because you've had so many teams with up and down seasons so far. So let me get the screen cleared here so we can get these pulled up. Got the graphic up for Slim this week just so we can bring the visuals to you. That makes life a lot easier for the viewers. And I think it makes it a lot easier for Slim and myself here as well, just to see everything in front of us. So we got Slim's
Yes,
power
sir.
rankings on the left. We got my power rankings on the right. I'll throw it to you, Slim. Just looking at each of our power rankings so far, we can obviously go through each team in order here, but just taking a quick glimpse at each of these power rankings, what is something that sticks out to you between these two different rankings?
Well, I say we both got the Utah Jazz in there, so it's nice of us to show them guys some love because they've been balling since the new year
Absolutely.
came in. And the Cavaliers been very good as of late, so it's nice for both of us to have them on there. And
Yeah, that's something
yeah,
I noticed as
yeah.
well. We were on the same page there with those two teams.
Yeah, shout out to you though for putting the Clippers at number 2, man. You didn't let James Harden, you know, let you discredit this team and how good they've been playing as of late. So yeah, shout out to you for that, man.
I appreciate that, man, because you know how hard that is for me to not be biased on that, man. Like
Yeah.
I hate that the Clippers are having so much success because I want to be able to say that the Sixers won that trade. But right now it looks like at the very least it's 50-50 on who won it. You could argue that the Clippers won that trade with the way they're balling out right now. But
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
I,
Yeah,
I think that's a good call out with the Clippers, man, because they are playing some of the best basketball in the NBA right now. And obviously I couldn't put them over the Celtics just because the Celtics are like this. They're like this pillar of consistency. They're annoying, honestly. Like as a Sixers
yeah, for
fan,
sure.
as a fan of a team in the Eastern Conference, they're quite annoying. But they are right there, and we both got them in the top two there. So do what you will with that. But something interesting that I see here from you, the Lakers is the one I wanted to ask you about because I'm not as down on the Lakers as most, but what inspired you to put the Lakers in the top 10 there, man?
Honestly, bro, I just say like I got to give AD his props. Like this season, like him being
Yeah,
available is just everything, him producing at a high level, night in and night out. So I had to show some love to him. And as of late, like his last 5 games, he's been on one for sure. Dropping triple doubles. He almost had a triple double last night. He was like 1 assist away. So yeah, I say
yeah.
really more so AD than anything. But the Lakers, I say I ain't gonna necessarily say they're starting to figure it out, but they're starting to turn the corner in the sense of like consistency, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and the way things look. Yeah, because the thing with the Lakers is that early on they were kind of an eyesore, if that makes sense, right? Like the fits of the people on the team. But I do agree with you. I think the defensive prowess that AD presents when he's able to stay in the lineup, it makes them a team that's going to be dangerous each and every night. They just had to be careful with the LeBron usage, right? You don't want to tire him out before the postseason, so you got to be careful there. But I think the Lakers are one of those teams, like we were talking about earlier, that they are maybe 1-2 pieces away from like really contending. And of course, we know, as we've seen in the past, they're similar to almost like the Miami Heat in that sense, where come playoffs, as long as they're in playoff position, LeBron, AD, they can turn it up a notch come postseason. So, not disagreeing with you by any means, but definitely was an interesting one to call out there. And then the Knicks, we both have them in the same exact spot. OG Anunoby has obviously been a great addition for them. What are your thoughts on the Knicks and kind of their standing in the Eastern Conference? Like, do you view the Knicks kind of the same question I asked about the Pacers, but do you view the Knicks as kind of approaching that tier up there with the Sixers, the Bucks, the Celtics?
I'd say they probably may be like another piece away. But Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson have been phenomenal. So
Yeah,
they had the most 30-point games by a Knicks duo since 1965. So they're starting to figure it out for sure. And as you mentioned, OG, his effect is, clearly felt. Through 9 games,
yeah,
he's a plus 158 on the court. He's the first player in NBA history to have at least a plus 35 in his first 9 games with a new franchise. So the dude's just a walking plus, bro. Like everything
yeah.
he do is just a positive on the court. So yeah,
He would fit on
as I
any team.
mentioned, they just probably like one piece away maybe from being like up there with the Celtics,
Yeah.
elite teams in the Eastern Conference for sure. So yeah.
I just wonder, like, what is the piece? Like, would it be another guard? I guess another guard, right? Like that's what comes to mind for me. Like Jalen Brunson, obviously, he's your number one guy, but you need like another like ball handler, like another playmaker, if that makes sense. Like that's just my outside view looking in on the Knicks, right? Like I'm not sure if you disagree there. Like you got the 3-and-D wing. You got your wing, even Dante DiVincenzo, right? He's been great. Josh Hart's been great. You got Julius Randle. I guess you could use maybe another stretch four, maybe, right? Like I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what they
I
need.
say maybe a guy like Zach LaVine, Jalen Brunson, Zach LaVine,
Zach Levine
OG,
would give them some mean
Julius.
firepower. Yeah.
Yeah. A guy like
What do you
him
give up
playing
for him?
all ball alongside Brunson, yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. Brunson, Levine, OG Anunoby, and yeah, that would be a line. I'm curious what you would give up, but what? Maybe it's
Dante, Josh Hart, maybe.
Dante and Josh Hart.
Hicks.
I wouldn't want to give up both of them. That would be the kicker.
Yeah,
I
for
wouldn't want to
sure.
give up
Yeah.
both of those guys because
But
they bring
I ain't
like
gonna lie, like
was it
Julius
tan?
Randle doesn't like when it comes to postseason, he doesn't move the needle for me, bro. So They may
Who?
need to do something for sure. Julius Randle.
Julius
When it
Randle?
comes,
Yeah. See,
yeah,
that's an interesting one because if you take Julius Randle out of the picture, insert Zach LaVine, then you have your big three of Jalen Brunson, Zach LaVine, OG Anunoby. And playoff time, like if LaVine can be healthy, I think that it may be a little bit more effective. But Marshawn asked a question here. He said, I have not been paying attention to the Utah Jazz, but are they that good? It's hard to say that they're that good. Like, are they going to be in the postseason competing? I don't know yet, right? Like the ruling is out, I would say, early on. But as of right now, they are playing some really, really good basketball. They're 9-1 in their last 10. They're on a 6-game winning streak. They have recent wins against the Pacers, the Lakers. They beat the Raptors, but the big ones are the Nuggets, the Bucks, and the Sixers in a row. They beat those 3 teams in a row, and that was part of this 6-game winning streak. So right now, the Jazz are playing lights out basketball. Lauri Markkanen playing lights out basketball,
yeah.
and kind of like Slim said earlier, man. Like I don't know why. Why is there talks of trading Lauri Markkanen? Like for what? You know what I mean? Like why? Like what do the
Yeah.
like? I don't know. Like are they rebuilding further?
No,
You know what I
he
mean?
should
Like
be
because
the
they're not
franchise
close to
player
the
in my
worst team in
opinion,
the
bro.
NBA. What'd you
He
say?
should
I'm
be the
sorry.
franchise player, no doubt. He should
Yeah,
be the guy that they build around for sure. Like they shouldn't trade him to get like, picks or anything. Just trade other guys if you have to, but he should definitely be the franchise player, no doubt.
yeah. No, I completely agree here, man. I completely
Yeah,
agree. I don't know why they would want to be moving on from him. Now, guys like Jordan Clarkson, I think
yeah,
you make an
guys
argument
like
to move
him.
on from guys like that.
Yeah,
Colin Sexton, I just wanted to point him out really quick
yeah,
too. He's
he's been
actually
hooping.
showed some major improvements here on the Jazz as well. So
Yeah, he's
um
been hooping.
they got like the Jazz have like a weird team of like a bunch of guys that can do a lot of everything, right? Like Taylor Horton Tucker, Kelly Olynyk, Ochai Abaji. So like they just got a bunch of like younger guys that can do a lot of everything. Um, but to say like, are they going to be there in the end? It's hard for me to say that right now, right? They're just playing really good right now. So, TR said he's starting to feel
Yeah,
better about DeJounte. So just to be clear, Slim, TR, he is a Sixers fan as well. Same with Marshawn Lynch. So if you see them Sixers oriented in the comments, that is why. So
okay.
he's saying he's starting to feel better about DeJounte to the Sixers. Although the thing that I've heard most recently has been the Lakers for DeJounte. So it seems like the Sixers may have kind of slowed down the intrigue on DeJounte, LaVine, the bigger stars available. Imagine if we were able to get Drummond and Caruso. Yeah, I do agree with that. That tandem added to the Sixers would probably put them in the top 5 for me in the NBA. But nonetheless, I'm trying to think of anything else I see here. So you got the Phoenix Suns there at number 9. Bradley Beal been playing much better
Yeah.
basketball. The Pelicans in there. So let me ask you this: what made you leave the Bucks off of there? Like, where are you at with the Bucks? Where would they come right now? Like, would they be like 11 for you, or are they a little bit further down the list?
Yeah, they could be 11 for sure. I didn't put them up there because like they lost to the Cavs last night. Like, don't get me wrong, they lost. Don't get me wrong, Giannis wasn't playing, but Damian Lillard, bro,
They
he
get
was
dogged
terrible
by
last
40
night.
though.
Uh, he shot, he shot like what 7? He shot terrible, and Chris Middleton was horrible as well. So, and you could clearly say I may be a little salty because we played them Saturday, and Chris Middleton was looking like prime Kobe Bryant out there. The brother couldn't miss. He was hitting post fades. Mid-range game was lethal. He just couldn't miss, but he go against the Cavaliers and he struggled the
Bruh.
whole night. I said you can't make this up. But yeah, so but for the Bucks, they
He had
got a
2
lot of things to
points.
figure out, bro. Because on the defensive end, Now that core of Damian Lillard and Malik Beasley is just not going to get it done. So yeah, they have some decisions to be made at the trade deadline for sure. But yeah, you can say that I had them in 11. Yeah, why not?
No, I the reason I ask is because they've fallen quite a bit for myself, and obviously they're 28-13 right now, so they have a top 5 record in the NBA, but it just hasn't been. I don't want to use the word pretty because it's superficial. It's like doesn't matter, but that's kind of what it
Like
is. It just hasn't
impactful, you know,
been.
like signature
Yeah,
wins.
like adding Dame to the equation hasn't equated to what it felt like it's supposed to equate to, if that makes sense. It feels like they're not
Yeah, right.
as good as they were last year. And that's the problem for
Yeah,
me
fact.
with the Bucks right now. You mentioned Chris Middleton, man. 2 points last night. Like, are we fucking joking? Like 1 for 10, bro.
Can't
Like,
make this up, man. You can't make this up, bro.
how? You know what I mean? Like, you can't get 2 layups on the night. Like, you couldn't get to the rack twice and get 2 layups. Like Chris Middleton? Like, is he
Man,
that
bro.
washed? But like you said,
This
he had 24 the other night against the Warriors. So it's like maybe
he could not
just
miss.
an off night. But without Giannis, they're 40-point losers to the Cavs. Is that what like we're supposed to believe? I mean, George Niang in this game, 33 points. Like, are we joking, dog?
He missed one shot the whole game. Like George Niang, he had something on his mind, bro.
Like, are we joking, bro? So yeah, that's why I asked you about the Bucks, because they are an interesting case. Obviously, not playing their best ball of late. Giannis was out of the lineup last night. But I think just overall, when you watch them play, they're not impressive. Like that's kind of the way I feel about the Bucks right now. And it feels weird. It feels like fraudulent to say that about a team that is 28-13 right now. But maybe it's just that Giannis is that good. But yeah, I think aside from that, everything else we are pretty much aligned on. I think outside of I have OKC, I have the Milwaukee Bucks in the top 10. Now, obviously, they haven't been playing their best of late. I know OKC has dropped a few in their last few games. And then you have the Lakers and the the Pelicans
Okay, so you don't have
and
the
the Phoenix
Suns on
Suns.
yours list.
So who is the other difference that I have in there?
So you don't have the Suns.
The Nuggets. The Nuggets. The Nuggets are the other team, which they've hit a little bit of a tough stretch as well. 28-6 more fraudulent than 10-1. Man, we don't talk about the Eagles on this show, man. We don't do that. But yeah, I guess you could pencil them in as the Eagles of the NBA right now, at least from my perspective. But yeah, no, I think we're on the same page for most of these teams. And
so what you think about the
Denver
Suns
Nuggets,
though? Like what would you rank them? Because I don't see them on your power rankings.
the Suns, I have a hard time with because they're so up and down. I mean, they have won 3 in a row, 7-3 in their last 10. Bradley Beal's playing better basketball. I guess you know what it is with the Suns. You know how you said it's a little bit of saltiness or a little bit of bias, I guess, with the Milwaukee Bucks. That's kind of where I'm at with the Suns, except the reason I'm salty is because I've had them in my top 10 several times this season. And then they go out and they drop a game that they're not supposed to. So I guess for me with the Suns right now, I'm in wait and see mode. But do I think that they will end up as a top 10 team in the NBA? I think by the end of the season they will.
Yeah. I'd say I can feel you coming from I say Grayson Allen, man, he's been phenomenal for them. He's averaging career highs all across the charts. He's averaging like 14 points per game on like 50, 40, 90 shooting. So
God damn, you ain't lying, man. He had 29.
Like it's definitely going to make
29 last night? Or 29.
Yeah, like they had an impressive 22-point comeback the other night against the Kings. And I say they're starting to figure it out a little bit. Bradley Beal finally healthy. He's staying in the lineup consistently. And, KD's been a leader defensively. So they've been locking him.
That's the key. That's the key is, can Bradley Beal continue to be, that third option or good enough to be that third option consistently enough? Because they got the depth otherwise, right? Like that was like a big worry with this team, but You got Nazir Little coming off the bench, Goodwin coming off the bench, Okogie, Eubanks, Mitu. You got Nurkic who starts, right? Who gives you double digits. Eric Gordon can come off the bench, give you double digits. So they got a lot of different options there in Phoenix. So yeah, definitely a team for me myself to keep an eye on in the coming weeks, and we may see them.
I've been keeping my eye on Grayson Allen for sure. He the first player in the Suns franchise history to have multiple games with 9+ threes in a game. So yeah, he's been balling.
9+ threes. That is crazy, man. I didn't even peep that. 9 threes. No, you are not lying, man. 9 for 14 two different times this month. Hey, I appreciate you showing the love. That's obviously one of my Duke boys. So helped Duke get one of those national championships. In case anybody forgets out there, Grayson Allen was a big part of that. But yeah,
man,
he could be a key piece for the Phoenix Suns, man, moving forward, just as far as consistency.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Let's get these off of here. Let's end the show, man, with our offensive and defensive players of the week. Let me get our overlay.
He said the Cavs at 3 is crazy. The Cavs been playing good basketball as of late, man. Jared Allen, he's been hooping. He's been more aggressive offensively. So
he said that's crazy. Yeah, the thing with the Cavs, man. The thing we have to keep in mind with the power rankings, right? The NBA is so different from the NFL in a sense where, like, the NFL, you just have one game per week, right? Like, it's pretty straightforward. Your power rankings aren't going to change that much over an NFL season compared to an NBA where you have, 2, 3, maybe even 4 games at a time during a week stretch where we come back the next week and these teams, maybe they lost 3 in a row. That's enough to drop you out of the top 10, right? So, like, that's the certain things we have to keep in mind here, because the Cavs right now, man, arguably the hottest team in the NBA, right? Like, up there with the Jazz right now. 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 6 in a row. So they are one of the hottest teams in the NBA. Will the Cavs be there at the end of the season, top 10 team or a top 5 team? I would guess not. But right now, I would say they are playing top 5 basketball in the NBA right now. But I think that's a good comment just for us to be able to clear that up and kind of give that extra perspective of where we're coming from. Yeah, the Clippers are on fire, Marshawn. Absolutely.
Yeah. The Clippers are like what? 9-2 since Christmas. The big three. They have been providing a lot of things.
And I think they you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they have the best record since the Harden trade in the NBA. So since they acquired Harden.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, they have the best record in the NBA. So yeah, they're arguably the hottest team in the NBA. And man, I hate to say it. You mentioned the Clippers at the beginning of that segment for the power ranking. I hate to say it right now, man. Like, if they can stay healthy, they have top 3, top 4 chances, best odds to win the NBA championship. Staying healthy is the big thing with Kawhi, PG, and Harden involved in the equation. But if they can stay healthy, yeah, I think they're playing like championship level basketball. I think the fit is there.
Yeah, for sure. Like, nobody's never questioning like the talent. We know the talent is there.
Yeah.
It's just them being available when it matters the most. Can they come through, Because a lot of Clippers fans, they've been tooting their horn as of late, saying like, we told you so and different things like that. But bro, nobody's knocking how good the Clippers is now. But can they do it when it matters the most?
Yeah.
Like, nobody's knocking it, bro. So, the Clippers fans, I enjoy arguing with them on Twitter from time to time. So
Yeah, I got a couple of Clippers fans on my feed as well that I follow, man. They're interesting because I guess from my perspective as a Sixers fan, man, the Sixers and the Clippers are kind of very similar in a sense, right? Like, they have like super teams, and then it's either Embiid or Kawhi gets injured right before the postseason, and then in the postseason it flunks out because those two just aren't fully healthy or aren't available. So I see similarities between the two organizations, but yeah, you are right. Clippers fans are funny because they'll be the same ones crying whenever one of those guys gets injured too, right? Like that's the
Exactly.
balance. And that's to say, like, it's not to say, to keep it fair, I would say the same thing about the Sixers. Like, they need to be healthy come the postseason, right? Embiid has to be healthy. If Maxey is beat up come the postseason, they're not winning anything. Same thing with the Celtics. They're a team that is heavily, favored by their starting lineup, not their depth. So teams that are built like that, health, it's going to rely on health. But, the Clippers obviously have some very specific cases there with PG, Harden, and Kawhi.
And I say like both franchises have a very interesting relationship with as well. So that's something that both organizations has in common too. Doc Rivers being the head coach. What a time
that is right. That is actually a great connection, man. Because it slipped my mind, but yes, Doc Rivers came in and wasted a few years of each of these organizations' time. So definitely feel you there, man. Let's finish out the show here, Slim, with our offensive and defensive players of the week. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
You can go first. Let's see where you at, man.
I'll give you my offensive player of the week. This one was easy for me. I'll put that out there, but I went with the Philadelphia MVP, Joel Embiid. Man, he came back from his knee injury that he missed 3 or 4 games for. Comes back and averages 41 points in 2 games since he's returned. So he came back against Houston. Didn't show any rust the other night against Houston. Then comes out on the second part of a back-to-back, mind you. So 2 games and 2 nights. He drops 41 points in each of those, with one of those games coming against the reigning Finals MVP, Nikola Jokic. 41 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, 1 block versus the Denver Nuggets in a win. 41 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists versus the Houston Rockets in a win. So I went with Joel Embiid as my offensive player of the week.
Yeah, I can respect it. He was definitely a strong consideration to be as my offensive player of the week. It was tough not to, pick him, but overall, I chose Kyrie Irving to be my offensive player of the week. His past 5 games, he averaging like 33 points, 6 rebounds, 6.6 assists while shooting 45% from the field, 38% from 3-point range, and 90% from the free throw line. And his past 5 games, he dropped 40 points twice in this span. Now, their record isn't great because they lost more games than they won, but as a late Kyrie Irving, man, he's been great offensively. Like, some of the numbers he's put up in his past 10 games have been spectacular. So, yeah, Kyrie Irving gets my offensive player of the week. Even last night, I felt like he would have, had a big game if LeBron didn't bump into him and he got injured. But, Kyrie been hooping as a late.
Yeah, he started that game fairly well last night as well. So, like you said, I love that you called this out because I'm taking a look at Kyrie's numbers right now. And what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7 games leading into last night, so excluding those the game from last night, he finished with 42 points against New Orleans, 33 points against New Orleans, 44 points against the Knicks, 33 points against Memphis, 35 points against Minnesota, and then 24 and 29 points versus Portland in 2 games in a row. So you look at that span, 29, 24, 35, 33, 44, 33, 42. Those are pretty immaculate numbers in this month of January. And I would have to agree, Kyrie Irving's playing some of the best offensive ball in the league right now, man. So that's actually a great call out, especially with Luka missing time in the last few games. He's had to kind of carry more of a load there. So if he can perform at this level, bro, with Luka,
oh my God, man.
Yeah, good luck.
And then
man.
Tim Hardaway Jr., he's been great as well, man.
Yeah, he's been lights out. That's another team, Dallas, right? That you could pencil them in as a team that's maybe one piece away. Right, I thought they would have been a good team for Pascal Siakam, man.
Pascal Siakam, that would have been scary,
that trio,
Luka, Kyrie, and Pascal. Oh my God,
that would be beautiful. But I do. I not. That's not to undermine the fit in Indiana. I love the fit in Indiana as well. Let's take it to the defensive side of the ball. I'm gonna mention a guy that you already mentioned on the show here. You already gave some very interesting stats for this player. OG Anunoby is my defensive player of the week, man. And I went with what was that?
No, I'd say okay.
Oh, I got you. Okay, I didn't know if you had the same person, but since the Knicks traded for OG Anunoby, the Knicks have the best defensive rating in the league of 104, and then as you mentioned earlier, they are a plus 158. OG Anunoby is a plus 158 since joining the New York Knicks, which obviously leads the NBA in that span, given the margin there. But nonetheless, plus 158 in 9 games and the best defensive rating in the league. For my money, that makes you one of the best defensive players in that span, which is why I went with OG Anunoby.
Yeah,
I think when you think about that addition to the New York Knicks, it gives them a guy that can match up with Jason Tatum, right? You can throw him on Jason Tatum. You can throw him on Jaylen Brown. You can throw him on Giannis. You can throw him on Chris Middleton. Maybe you throw him on Dame. Maybe you throw him on Maxey when you play the Sixers. OG Anunoby is he got dropped 33 on them by Niang. Oh, he must be talking about the about the Bucks. Yeah, that last night was wild. But no, I went with OG Anunoby here because I like what he adds to the New York Knicks as far as like that 3-and-D defensive stopper. He's going to be able to guard wings for them. He can even guard some guards on certain nights. And then obviously the numbers support it as well, man. But who do you got as your defensive player of the week?
So defense player of the week, I was so close to putting OG, but I'm going to say a guy who I say he kind of been overlooked in a sense of ways. And that's Rudy Gobert, man. Like, they was ready to write this dude off, but his past 5 games, this brother has been balling. He's averaging 2.5 blocks per game, 17 rebounds per game, and I couldn't believe this when I actually seen this. I had to double check to make sure this was right. He's averaging 20 points per game his last 5 games. Like, even though it's like a defensive category, but Rudy, man, like this brother, he's really like the main reason you could say that the Timberwolves got the number 1 seed because he's been anchoring their defense. He's been an excellent rim protector, just being a vocal leader out there, communicating and different things like this. So I had to show Rudy Gobert some love for sure. He should definitely get be a defense player of the year candidate, no doubt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got Rudy Gobert being my defense player of the week.
Yeah, and to be clear, I would say Rudy Gobert probably should be the leading candidate for defensive player of the year, right? Like the rebounding, the shot blocking, the length. I mean, he does a lot for that team. And the thing with Minnesota is that he just balances out Karl Anthony Towns so well, because obviously we know what Karl Anthony Towns is good at. He's good at scoring, spacing the floor, right? Offensive juggernaut, but defensively he has some liabilities there. Which Rudy Gobert just helps cover those up significantly in the middle there. So yeah, I do like the call out there because I mean you look even the rebounding numbers, man. Like rebounding is kind of a lost art. It's not as valued as I feel it should be in today's NBA. But 16 rebounds, 18 rebounds, 17 rebounds, 12 rebounds, 17, 12. Had 5 rebounds in this game. I would guess he was in foul trouble for that game. But then 15 rebounds again. He's averaging 14 rebounds this month per game, along with, close to 2 blocks per game. So Rudy Gobert, man, once again, leading the way for defensive player of the year. Some other guys I would throw in there, obviously Bam Adebayo. I think he's in the talks. OG Anunoby should be in the conversation there. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody big there as well. But those are the 3 guys.
Bam, man.
Yeah. Bam. We'll have to take a look
AD.
at him. AD, yeah,
Rick
that's
Lopez,
a guy.
Maybe.
That's a guy I was forgetting.
Even Jared Allen. So.
Jared Allen's always good defensively. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on these guys and maybe see what they look
Derek
like.
White too. He should get some love too.
Who?
Derek White. He should get some love too.
Derek White. Yeah, he always guards like the best guard on the other team for the Celtics, man.
I gotta apologize to the Timberwolves too, man, because I was ready for them to trade Carlton at times, but
Yeah.
they figured it out. So hey, we'll see how far I can go.
Nah, I feel you. I was in the same boat. And I still think like I don't think it should happen this season given where they're at, right? Like this close to the deadline and feels like all the bigger pieces have already been like traded outside of Levine, which don't think the Timberwolves are going to go back down that road of Levine, right? Um
Yeah.
I would say I would still be willing to move him for like the right fitting piece for the Timberwolves, but it's hard to say what that piece is right now, given the talent that they already have on their team. So I'm with you. I would just see what it looks like in the postseason, right? With Gobert and Cat healthy, and then Ant Edwards obviously ascending to his MVP level status. So
Man, that brother been balling.
T-Wolves, man. There's a lot of with that being said, man, as we end the show here, there's just a ton of really good teams this year that are playing some really good basketball. I saw TR's comments, and I feel you. Like on the Cavs and the Jazz. As far as like where they're placed within our power rankings, and I get it. I just think that there's so many teams. Like we had the Magic up in our top 10 power rankings earlier this season, right? Like they've kind of
We had the
fallen off.
Pacers, like
We've had the
we had the
Pacers. I've
Warriors
had the
at one
Heat.
point. Yeah, we had the Heat.
I've had the
Uh,
Warriors. I've had the
it's a
Kings.
lot
I've
of
had the
different teams, man.
Mavericks. So like
Yeah, the Kings,
it's
Mavericks.
tough right now. It's tough right now with
The league
the
just is so
variability
talented, bro. Like, man.
week to week. Yeah, it's just a hell of a talented league. Like I feel you. It does sound crazy putting like the Utah Jazz in the top 10 with a 22-20 record, but they're 9-1 in their last 10. Like their last 10 games, they have lost one game. They've won 6 in a row
Yeah,
against the likes of the Bucks, the Sixers,
some
the
impressive
Nuggets.
teams.
Yeah, so they've had impressive wins. It's like whole league standing for the entire year. Are they a top 10 team? No. But for this week, yeah, I would say they are a top 10 team. So I get the frustration, but I do think there's some authenticity to it there, man. Anything else before we get out of here, Slim?
That's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it.
Let's do this. Let my viewers know where they can find your content, when your next show will be streaming, any type of information like that. What do you got going on right now, my man?
Nothing really at the moment, but you can always hit the To the Galaxy pod.
Yeah.
For daily, I'm gonna say daily, but weekly Warriors, different things, tapping in on that team. But I'm just taking a break from them guys right now, so I've been doing this with you. So
you got to vent. Hey, that's it. The NBA right now for me, bro, is my escape. You still got the Bills, right? You still got the Bills in the NFL world. So I'm off the NFL. I ain't thinking about it no more. I'm fully indulging into the NBA.
I feel.
But I am going to be rooting for your Bills. I am, man. I told you that via text. Sure. But that's the team I want to win it the most out of the teams left, quite honestly.
Yeah. I hope we can do it this year, man. I feel like this Josh Allen year for sure. But
yeah.
I will say there's nothing else make my life complete than trolling Cowboys fan, bro. It's just so funny to me to do, man. Like I love trolling them.
Yeah, that balanced my weekend out. The Cowboys losing, along with the Eagles, but I definitely feel you.
Some guys are sick to their stomach to come outside right now, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, at least with me, like I saw this kind of coming. Like, there was a world where the Eagles could lose that game. Whereas if you're a Cowboys fan, like, did you really go into that game thinking you would lose to the Packers? Like, really? You know what I mean? Like Dak MVP season. Like, I don't know, man. I would say I feel bad for them, but like not a chance in hell that I feel bad for them. But that's going to be it for this episode of Scotty Talks NBA, everybody. Be sure to check out my
Yes,
man
sir.
Slim on Twitter at RTR30111. And be sure to check out his To the Galaxy podcast on the YouTube channel. You'll be able to find that right in the description for this video. But guys, be sure to hit the subscribe button, like the video, help it get shared out, and continue to build this community. Marshawn, TR, everybody else that tapped in today, thank you for getting involved in the comments. And we will be back here on the channel. I'll be back with Zach Noble on Tuesday. And then next Thursday, same time, same place, I'll be back here with Slim on Scotty Talks NBA. But for this show, for myself, for Slim, everybody have a great rest of your day. And go Sixers.